In fact, let's stay on this issue. KwaZulu-Natal is South Africa's playground, and it actually gets the lion's share of domestic tourism, usually. But the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent civil unrest have prompted tourists to avoid visiting the province. So can KZN turn this situation around? Let's get some answers from Acting Tourism KZN CEO, Phindile Makwakwa. Phindile, it's a big ask, isn't it, given the scenes that we saw playing out in many parts of KZN, to tell tourists our province is safe and we want to welcome you back?
Absolutely. It is a big ask, but it is an ask that we believe now, where we are as KZN, it is one we can confidently ask our tourists with assurance that they will have a smooth process of getting to the province, that it is safe, that they can enjoy a holiday that they are used to, for those who are repeat visitors, and for our new visitors to say the incidents that have happened in the province. As you can see now, the narrative really is about finding out what happened, who's behind it, getting justice for families who've lost loved ones. It is no longer about the fact that the situation on the ground is dangerous, that it is unsecure, and that there is no access to fuel and to food. So we can confidently say as Tourism KZN that we are back to business, and we really want to assure our travelers that it is definitely safe to come to the Zulu Kingdom.
Yeah. How do you balance that with calls for parts of your province to be declared disaster areas, and also with just the extent of the damage, not only to infrastructure but to businesses as well? 40,000 businesses affected by the riots we saw over the past 2 weeks.
So the trend that we have seen emerging, really working closely with our tourism partners, is that when it comes to tourism businesses, certainly there are businesses that were hard hit, especially restaurants in main malls where attacks did happen. But when you talk about the tourism stock, so to speak, in terms of your hotels, attractions, and activities to be explored by tourists, we have not had reports of those facilities being destroyed. And so it is a balancing act. I think the question is, when you come to KZN, do you generally get a sense that everything is chaotic, everything has fallen apart? No. Is the problem on the ground serious? Absolutely, in terms of the areas that have been hard hit. So our message is very clear. We have packages that we have been marketing prior to the winter season, with us anticipating, of course, that we will have quite a robust season, given the fact that the country has opened up a bit more. And so those packages remain. The areas to visit remain secure. They do, within the facilities, have all the necessary means to ensure that the holistic tourist experience is one that is still a good experience. And so we do believe that it is not premature for us to say, do come to KZN. You will have, whether you're coming by road, you will have an ease of access to where you need to be, whether you are flying in, and the experiences you have in the space you choose, you definitely will have a good experience without any disturbance.
So community is really coming to the party in terms of the cleanup operation in the wake of the riots in KZN. Really a sign of those individual communities and their commitment to getting the province back to fighting fit. What has been KZN Tourism's involvement in that side of things? You know, involvement in the actual boots on the ground, getting your hands dirty kind of cleanup operation?
So what we've done as Tourism KZN, we partnered with tourism partners, including your Tourism Business Council of South Africa. We have FEDHASA and SADSA. So these are formations that we've said, let's come together and focus on the KZN is safe to travel campaign. And so we have different, in government, we have different agencies looking at various interventions. So our trade and investment, KZN, is really looking at working with all the other sectors to really get things back to normal. The Office of the Premier is driving the cleanup campaign together with various government departments, and we are focusing on making KZN safe to travel. Yeah. And so we are going to be rolling out a campaign start of next week that really just shows practically how you can get to KZN. And we're very mindful that it is also hard times because we're dealing with two blows. We're dealing with the riots. We're dealing with the impacts of COVID-19, which has impacted tourism the worst. And so we are putting together packages that are affordable, making sure the experience is affordable, and people really get out and really enjoy themselves. And so our involvement is more to say, come enjoy the province, distress, try and relax, not only for people from outside of KZN, of course for locals as well, to say explore your province. And so we're uniting behind a campaign and working with radio stations as well to really just instill that sense of resilience, of saying we are rebuilding together, but also of saying let's just enjoy the beauty that is KZN. We have a province that is really rich, and we need to show the world that this was just an incident that is now under control and we are rising again.
So I want to ask you for, you talked about those packages that you have for, as encouragement for people to come and visit the province. I want to ask you about that in just a moment. But, this sort of dual impact on tourism, and not only in KZN, around the country, around the world, but it's not just about the last 2 weeks of riots. It's about the last year and a half almost of COVID-19 as well. What has been the impact of the pandemic and the ongoing impact on your sector? Have you been able to quantify it as yet?
It really has been quite a massive blow to the tourism industry. We are waiting for South African tourism to release figures to just give us a picture in 2020 and how we did in relation to 2019. But just to give you a picture, we were sitting before the week of the riots, we were sitting at only 24% occupancy figures for the winter season, which is a massive drop from what we normally, under normal circumstances prior to the pandemic, we would enjoy, which would be in the region of 70 to 80% occupancies. And so that's a massive drop. And our projections now is we are at about 15%. And so, yes, in terms of job losses, even though we can't quantify to say this is the exact number of jobs that have been lost, but certainly it has been massive. We are seeing it in occupancies. And so we are saying for us, while we are not affected so much physically also out of the riots, the actual numbers that are coming to KZN have been hard hit by the pandemic. And of course, when we moved into level 4, what it meant is that the hospitality sector, restaurants, and movements of people from Gauteng to KZN was also not allowed. We were further hit. And so we are looking forward to a growth that is going to be quite slow, but we are confident that it will slowly turn the situation around. The United Nations World Tourism Organization has projected that we will, perhaps in the next 2 years, start seeing global tourism really going back to its former glory. And so we're very mindful that our recovery plan as a province is one where we are gunning a lot for the domestic market, and then we move regionally into Africa to really try and get healthy numbers before we even talk about international tourism regaining its strength again.
Some of those packages that your sector is using to lure tourists back to KZN?
So yes, we have a lot of exciting packages. I would encourage viewers to visit our website, which is www.zulu.org.za, and also on our social media platforms. We do market them quite a lot. But when you go to the website, you are able then to link up to the direct product and make those bookings. We also, as you know, Zambelo KZN Wildlife is an entity owned by government, and they have an exciting campaign called Winter in July. And that campaign sees a drop in fares to about 40%. And so you are able to make bookings and get a discount of 40% for your family. And we do encourage also tourists from Gauteng that have been locked to really take up these offers. And we do understand that with the private school holidays coming up, we really want to make August a memorable experience for them to explore KZN.
Yeah, it certainly sounds incredibly attractive. Breathe in some of that sea air. Phindile Makwakwa, thanks very much for your time this morning on the AM Report. She's the Acting CEO of Tourism KZN, and if you are looking to visit the Zulu Kingdom, go to www.zulu.org.za. Take a look at some of the packages on offer there.